We are welcoming everybody, and we want to send this message of Hanukkah light with love for Israel. I want to introduce people who really share light and love for Israel. First of all, Esther, because Esther at a Hanukkah party with her children.
Okay, so my name is Esther Lam Kanchik, and Rabbi Katzin is one of my first teachers from Rage. I'm an old school alumni / professional from Rage and the not-for-profit world, and now I am assisting in running my father's company in high-end audio, and I'm sitting here on the first day of Hanukkah, and you know, it's such a miraculous time. I'm so pleased to be here with Sophia and Misha, and of course, the esteemed Rabbi Katzin. And even though I'm here presently in New Jersey, mentally, physically, I'm here, but mentally and spiritually, I feel that wow, that's amazing, Candice. I feel that I'm in Israel. I'm just in that mode. And my husband and I, our family, we're preparing. And we're having an interesting year, Rabbi, and company, because we're like sojourning. I feel like it's our 40 years in the desert. You know, we're moving from place to place until we get to our final destination. And I think this is such a special, special time right now for all of us to unite, you know, because Hanukkah is the time of miracle. I think it's such an important time for us to unite right now. I was just telling the story to somebody who's not Jewish, what Hanukkah represents. And it was really, I feel like history is repeating itself, and not to bash, I'm not bashing anybody. I love all Jews, you know, all types, all denominations. We're all one tribe, one big family. Sorry if that went over 2 minutes, but.
Thank you so much, Esther. Especially Esther was a community leader and Rage alumni leader as well. And she definitely inspired us when she made a very public announcement, enough is enough, I am moving to Israel. And actually, Sophia heard this message and she became a leader in her own way. Please, Sophia, share your message and your story.
Yes, I feel like when I heard your interview with Esther this summer, something really clicked in me. I feel like originally the idea of Israel I was introduced to at Jewish summer camp in Germany, where I heard the song for the first time, Ani Yehudi, Medinat Israel, Medinat Sheli. And at that point, I was just like a Russian immigrant in Germany looking for my Jewish identity. And I didn't know any meaning to any of those words. Ani Yehudi, I was not connected to my Jewish roots, but I was seeking. And Medinat Israel didn't mean much to me, but when I heard the word Medinat Sheli, I understood that something was mine that I need to discover. And I feel like something clicked, that I finally want to I guess, be less hypocritical when I say the prayers of returning to the land of Israel. I actually want to mean it. You know, our forefathers have been shedding so many tears, and now we have the opportunity to actually sing and dance in the streets of Jerusalem. So why don't we do that? So based on that, I started the Russian-American Aliyah movement, where we are trying to connect Russian Jews with each other, who all are feeling this strong desire to finally return to the land of our forefathers. So we are trying to understand where to go, how to go there, and how to fight the Israeli bureaucracy. And actually this week we had our own Hanukkah miracle with the bureaucracy, and some of the difficulties that many Jews from Russia experience is to prove their Jewishness, to bring pictures of their grandparents and their birth certificates and who immigrated when and all the background. And finally, this week we got notice that people who immigrated as minors 25 years and more don't have to do that, or people who immigrated before 1989 to America also don't have to bring those documents, and we can just move to Israel like Americans do, just getting a letter from a rabbi. And I feel like that's part of our, I guess, a little sign that maybe we can just go and connect to the land and be where we're supposed to be.
What an amazing story of a victory. We will need more, obviously, victories, but this victory over technicalities or difficulties is a huge victory, and tremendous thanks and gratitude to you, Sophia, for helping and assisting people actually to reconnect to their homeland, and more than that, actually make Aliyah. Did anybody from our group actually make Aliyah?
Well, we just started the group in the summer. 4 moved already, and about, I don't know, 20, 30 who are going to do it in the next few months. And we are all trying to discover where to go. And we have about 250 families in the group, and we're growing, and we actually need to figure out how to expand.
It's amazing. It is amazing. I hope that everybody is listening. Over 250 families, most of them, I believe, if not all of them, are children of Russian immigrants, so
Yes.
people that came here from Russia
All of them.
and Soviet Union, all of them actually, and they study Hebrew. Sophia created a school, we call it Rage Zoom Academy, and people can learn conversational Hebrew. There are many people studying Hebrew. Many people attend different programs and lectures, how to get a job, what career, where to live, where to send children, what community, where I want to live. And every Sunday, there are many, many amazing programs that inspire and educate. It is unbelievable. I think this is really miraculous. And one of the obstacles actually was, prove you're a Jew. And now, for many young people, this obstacle is removed. I want to
Yes,
thank you.
that's our own Hanukkah miracle.
It's our own Hanukkah miracle. And now we also need to defend Israel and actually to stand up to anti-Semitism that very much hiding by the anti-Zionist, rhetoric. So I would like to introduce our own Michael Yadov. Michael, it's such an honor seeing you again. I remember we saw each other, how many years, like 10 years together on the trip.
Yeah.
And here you are a leader. Please share your story.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. And thank you for having me. So it's actually interesting that we're doing this on Hanukkah. Growing up, I obviously grew up in a Jewish family, and I felt a bond with Israel from the very beginning. But for me, the turning point was going to college. I was just getting started in my college career when in the midst of the Second Intifada. So if you can go back to that time, you may remember how there were almost daily occurrences in Israel. And what really changed me was that in my freshman year in college, we were assigned, instead of a textbook, we were assigned a daily reading of the New York Times. And so it was the daily reading of the New York Times and seeing the whitewashing of the terror that was happening against Israelis that strengthened my resolve and turned me into a lot more of an activist than I probably would have been otherwise. So from then on, I joined the executive board of the Hillel, which we turned into a powerhouse. In many ways, we were ahead of our time in the sense of we made connections. We invited speakers that were not commonly seen on campuses at that time. So for example, we brought a Jewish refugee from Libya who shared the story of the Mizrahim as they fled Arab persecution. We brought in people from Honest Reporting because we saw the issues with the media, as I mentioned, with New York Times, for example, and so on. So that was a huge success. Then obviously some time passed by. I was fortunate to join Rage and meet Rabbi Katzin and many other wonderful people. That continued my growth. From then on, I continued in my passion for Zion, and I joined Fuel for Truth, which was a 10-week boot camp educating young American Jews about Israel, about the history of the conflict. And given my background, I was asked to stay on board and continue to help teach the following boot camps. And so I stayed on for a good number of cohorts, probably helped educate close to 200 people. Additionally, I was also very proud, and it was a great pleasure to join the American Forum for Israel and help them in their endeavors. And eventually, I also found that while I was enjoying what I was doing at Fuel for Truth, I was able to have a lot greater impact by actually writing. So I was able to translate my ideas into writing in the different outlets, whether it was what Times of Israel, the Jerusalem Post, Mida, basically a lot of the outlets that allowed me to express myself, my passion for Zion, and hopefully educate a lot more people in a sense of their Jewish pride, their Jewish identity, and what we need to do to stand for Israel.
What an amazing story. What an amazing story. You said that you actually write for the Jerusalem Post.
Well, I have a blog there. I'm not going to say I write for them, but I do have a blog at the Jerusalem Post, although I transitioned to the Times of Israel.
Michael, Hanukkah message from you.
In many ways, just as Mattathias had to defend what he thought was important in the tradition and the heritage of his people, I think we have the same challenge before us today, maybe in slightly different, certainly in a different environment. But with that said, we all have the tools, and we should do what we have to do to defend what's dear to us. And whether it means speaking up, whether it's educating, whether it's moving to Israel, I think we all have the capacity to do it, and we should recognize why it's important and why it's worth protecting.
I want to welcome Eve joining us. Eve, what is your story?
Well, my family's from the Soviet Union, and Israel to us is like it's a huge thing for us. Most of our family is there who couldn't come here, and we're all so happy, and we love and support Israel. My first time in Israel was when around my bat mitzvah age, my dad took us there. And since most of my family's there, it was a wonderful experience for me. It was my first time meeting my aunt and all my cousins there who weren't able to come here after the Soviet Union. And then my second time was as an adult for my birthright trip. And again, I absolutely loved it. And I stayed there and lived there for about a month with my family. And it was an absolutely amazing time. And I felt so happy to be in a country where it was all Jewish people. I could be free and be myself and be who I am and proud of who I am.
And what led you to Rage?
Because of my Russian background. And originally I'm from Philadelphia. And when I came to New York, I came alone by myself for work. And it was difficult for me being here without any friends or family. And so I became a part of Rage in New York. I was a part of Rage Philadelphia before, and now I became a part of Rage New York. And I went on the Poland Prague trip, and that's where I met now some of my closest and best friends. And I went on the trip almost 2 years ago, and I still talk every day with the friends that I made on this trip. So I work for the Estee Lauder companies, and I'm so proud to work for the Estee Lauder companies. The Lauder family is absolutely wonderful to the Jewish community, especially Ronald Lauder, who's the president of the World Jewish Congress. And I'm so happy, to have this job, to work for a company that I do, and also to be part of Rage, which is again an also amazing Russian Jewish organization that has connected me to so many different people and has given me so many amazing learning opportunities.
Any Hanukkah message to the community?
Happy Hanukkah, and I'm wishing everyone lots of blessings and happiness to enjoy with their families.
So beautiful. Safia, any message of Happy Hanukkah from you?
I wish everybody the strength of spirit to return back to our home.
You need courage. You need courage to fight for Israel. You need courage to stand for Israel here in America. And you also need courage actually to make a decision and say, Israel is my home.
Right, that's what you said in Yod Torah, I think in one of your videos the other week, that Yaakov fought with the angel of Esav and had to earn the name of Israel, that we have to acquire the land, sometimes with tears, sometimes with fighting, and to make it ours. And I feel like that's part of the process.
It's amazing. What a beautiful, beautiful message. I will share a story from my past. It was 1980. It was Hanukkah 1980. I had friends coming to me for Hanukkah party, and actually one of my teachers, Eliyahu Esses, was giving a class, and it was December 1980. I will never forget how the KGB stormed in our home, how they started basically forcing people to go to like the KGB headquarters to be identified, or police precincts. And they did not want to take us by force first. So they, said, you go, we give you 5 minutes, or you'll go by yourself, or we'll use force. So 5 minutes, we're going to get out of this room and you decide. Yosef Bigun was sitting with me. Eliyahu Esses, Zev Mishkov, they were like famous heroes. Some of them refusing, some of them people that were in jail already, like Yosef Bigun. And it was so beautiful that instead of deciding to go, not to go, very courageously, our teacher, Ilya Esses, said to everybody, let's continue the class. Can you imagine this? The KGB agents standing in the background, somewhere in a hallway, about 40 people sitting in my room, in a nice place, kind of. And he said, let's continue the class. What did he say? And I think that is a message of Hanukkah that I want to share with you. And he said, you see, history repeats itself. Greeks used to disturb us or try to destroy us or take away us from our heritage. And now we have these KGB agents like modern Greeks. So history repeats itself. Now we're celebrating Hanukkah and we have Greeks, behind me, standing there. But one thing he said, I want to ask you, why Hanukkah is called not just the holiday of light, but also Shemin Zayit. It is a holiday of oil. Anybody?
Because we had one flask left, right?
Okay.
And it burned for 8 days. I mean,
right.
And I would say that oil, I mean, it represents when we light, it's like anointing. We anointed the kings, I think, right? Like the small group of people battled this like behemoth of an empire and won, and to kind of show the miraculous nature of it, this one flask of oil burned for 8 days. That's what comes to my mind.
What a beautiful answer. Anybody wants to add to this?
Maybe also the idea that, in order to make oil, you have to squeeze and bring in force to make a product that is usable, a product that you can use to sanctify something. So that's maybe a necessary part of the process.
Sometimes we are squeezed by anti-Semites and some struggles in order to bring the best that is somewhere hiding within us. That is an amazing story, right? It's an amazing idea. And sometimes we need to overcome obstacles and be courageous, as you said before, correct?
I agree. I think it's really comes down to the anointment. It's basically it's a way to sanctify. It's a designation of something holy. And in this way, the Jewish people, they stood up to the task when all the odds were against them. They showed their resolve, they showed the faith, and they drove them to victory. And that in a way, it was a way to merit the oil.
It's amazing. So Michael, taking your idea, that's exactly what Eliyahu Esses said. It was very simple. I think it will speak to the heart of everybody who understands the idea of anointment. He said, you know what? For 2,000 years, we did not have our state. We were refugees. We were persecuted. We were helpless. But the message of Hanukkah is that one day will come, and once again, we will return back to our land, and we will anoint the leader, the king. So anointment of the leader, or the king of the Jewish people, is a dream of returning back to the state of Israel. It's an idea of statehood. Not only we're going to live there under Turkish rule, or British rule, or someone else's mercy, we will return as Maccabim did, and we will reestablish the state of Israel. And he said, you see these KGB officers behind me? You see the darkness? But the Hanukkah sends us a message. We will overcome this darkness to see the light of the state of Israel. All of us, we will be given permission to immigrate. Remember, people in this room, some of them were sitting for 10, for 15, for 20 years waiting for the permission. Some of them went through Gulag, concentration camps, through jails, on the way to their land. But thank God, almost everybody did. So too, my blessing to everyone. We should continue sharing our love for Israel. Future. I want to thank you, everyone, and send a message of Hanukkah Sameach, Happy Hanukkah, to our entire community. All the best.
Hag
Hag Sameach.
to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.